There we are. Hey, Jake.
Hi, Kelsey. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm so great. It's a beautiful day. Nice to get some fresh air.
Yeah,
All right, you ready to get started?
absolutely.
So, hi, everybody. Welcome to Take a Break with Jake. And today I'm here with my human friend, Robin, who I'll show you in a sec. And then we have all 8 of our Chilean flamingo chicks out here. That's Robin there. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
So the chicks, we're going to go through and introduce you to all of them, and we'll get up close and personal. Poblano will probably he'll come right over and say hi. Hi, Poblano. Hi, baby. He's such a sweet little baby. So Poblano is with me right now. Coming towards us now, right here, is Paprika. Hi, Paprika. And then Ghost is to her right. Ghost is our largest flamingo chick. He weighs a little over 2 kilograms. Hi, Ghost. And then Habanero is right here. And then behind him is a he, who's our oldest girl. There she is. And then over here is Jalapeno. He kind of has a little mohawk. And then all the way back here, Cayenne is facing away from us right now. She's in the middle. And then finally is Chilaka, our tiny girl. Hi, Chilaka. So all of our Chilean flamingo chicks are named after different kinds of peppers, chili peppers in particular. And Chilean flamingos live down in South America. They live in Chile and some of the surrounding countries. They typically live high up in the mountains on salt flats and kind of inhospitable areas where fish don't live. They want to live near water where fish aren't, I guess is the technical word. Fish aren't,
Who
because
cares about
fish,
grammar?
yeah, grammar. Fish compete for food with flamingos. And that may seem kind of strange because flamingos are pretty big and you'd think maybe they eat slightly larger food. But actually, these cute little birds eat teeny tiny little plants and animals, krill, plankton, algae, tiny mollusks, and maybe tiny little fish. Really tiny stuff for the most part, if that wasn't clear. Oh my gosh,
Amazing.
Ghost just
Jake,
got
can
excited about
you
something.
tell our wonderful viewers that the difference between these Chilean flamingos and our Caribbean flamingos that are on exhibit?
Yeah, so the Chilean flamingos, well, first and foremost, all flamingo chicks hatch out gray, because that's usually like what where we get the most confusion or like shock is like, oh my gosh,
Uh,
they're a gray flamingo. So all flamingo chicks hatch out gray, and it takes them up to 2 years to get fully pink. And you can kind of tell, it's not really great in this video, but you can kind of tell that some of them are more pink than others already. Um, and then the difference between Chileans and Caribbeans primarily is Chilean flamingos only stand about 3 or 3.5 feet tall, whereas Caribbeans can get to be about 5 feet tall when they're full grown. So these birds are really cool. They all eat those tiny little plants and animals, like I was mentioning earlier. But size is the main difference, and color is the other one. So if you
Jake, I
look,
knew about the color, but I don't think I realized that the size difference was that large.
yeah, so if guests when they're able to come back to the zoo, if you go down to our flamingo lagoon, you can see our beautiful Caribbean flamingos on exhibit, and some of those kids are very nearly 5 feet tall. They're quite massive. All of these Chilean flamingos come to maybe 3 feet tall.
Could we
Ghost,
get a robin for size?
yeah. So Robin is over here crouching down with a he, who is one of Robin's favorites, right? And a he is getting some love from Robin. All of these flamingo chicks were hand raised here at the zoo, so we got them as eggs from a couple different zoos, and then we hand raised these chicks once they hatched out. So they very much are interested in being around people and getting attention from people. Hi, Poblano. This is my favorite baby, Poblano. He's the cutest and the best.
Jake, I've heard that each keeper has a different favorite. Is that true?
Yeah, I think all of us, we all really like a he, who's our matriarch. She's our oldest chick by about a month and maybe 10 days. So she's kind of everybody's favorite. But then from
The
there on
OG, if you
out,
will.
yeah, exactly. From there on out, everybody has their different favorite birds. And certainly we see a lot of the different birds will prefer certain people too, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Who prefers you, Jake?
Poblano definitely prefers me, which is really fun because he was my favorite chick when they were all growing up. He's right here in the center. And he's really cute because a lot of times I can get him to follow me just by calling to him. Poblano, come on. Hi, buddy.
That's
And then
so
he likes to
cute.
be a cute little baby and get down on the ground. And then he loves flamingo hugs too. So I'll see if I can turn around. He likes to get real close, real personal for hugs. It's so sweet. Hi, buddy.
Jake, I remember the first Facebook Live we did with the flamingos when he was just barely a chick.
Oh my gosh.
I can't, we were just sitting on the ground and she was like running between us. It was amazing.
So sweet. So tiny too, huh? And look at them now. They're so giant.
They are huge. Let's see. I saw that Johnny from yesterday's live, she chimed in with her favorite, which I think was habanero, maybe? I
Oh,
think I
nice.
lost the comment.
He's right here in front of me. Hi, Habanero. He like knows we're talking about him.
He has
Hi,
that
I'm
beautiful
getting
pink
excited.
splotch on his very back.
Yeah, so those are some of their actual wing feathers that are showing up. Underneath their wings, they have black and red feathers, which is another kind
Okay.
of difference between Caribbean and Chilean flamingos. Once these kids get their full color in a year or two, they'll be a lot paler pink than the Caribbean flamingos, but they'll have black and red flight feathers, which is really cool.
Cool. Jake, something I haven't thought about before
Okay.
is their wingspan. What is that
Oh
like?
gosh. Um, I'm gonna say based on what it looks like to me, like a little over 3 feet when they're fully grown, but I've never
Okay.
actually measured. Yeah, good question there, Kelsey.
So, this is kind of a weird thing, but they're square then, if they're about 3 feet tall and their wingspan is
Yeah, yeah.
right?
They fill a cube. Yeah.
Oh, that is a tough question, Jake. I don't know if you just saw this. Who do you like more, the Kuka baby or Poblano baby?
Oh my gosh, I can't choose between my birds. Poblano is really cute, and the kookaburra is so cute too. Birds are just the best, really.
I feel like you're in a really tough spot there.
I know, right? It's a good
That's a good
question.
question, Mike. Can these guys fly?
So flamingos are capable of flight. In the wild, they're really only going to fly to find new sources of food. So they can fly upwards of 300 miles in one night to look for a new area to roost and to find food.
Okay.
Here at the zoo, our flamingos are hand fed or pan fed everything. They get everything they need every day. So they don't need to fly. So we
Okay.
clip some of their flight feathers just so when the wind comes, they don't get taken up into the sky because that's not fun.
Well, it might be fun for them.
I don't know. The one
Although that would
time,
be surprising.
yeah, the one time Chalaka here right in front of me, she actually got into the air a little bit before we were able to clip her wings, and she did not love it. She was like, "I'm happier on the ground."
Well, that's relatable as well. I'm much happier on the
Yeah.
ground. A couple questions, Jake, about how soft are they? Can you tell us about the texture of their feathers?
Sure, yeah. So some of our chicks still have quite a bit of down. Poblano
Okay.
has a little bit left. So if you look here on his back, these really fuzzy looking feathers, that's down feathers. And when birds hatch out, they're covered in downy feathers. And so they're very, very soft and squishy. And then as they age and they get their juvenile and then eventually their adult feathers, they get a little more coarse isn't really the best word because they're not coarse at all, but they're a lot less soft and squishy than the down feathers. And here on Jalapeno, for whatever reason, Jalapeno has retained a ton of his down feathers, and so he's really squishy still. But he, our oldest bird, who's still over with Robin over here getting some love, he has most of her juvenile feathers in, so you see a lot less fuzziness to her,
Mm-hmm.
and so she feels much more like any kind of feather that any of y'all may have touched before. Like if you felt a chicken feather or a pigeon feather, that's exactly what flamingo feathers feel like.
Okay, that's good to know. So, yeah, he looks like very sleek. Like,
Yeah,
um,
very
there's not
sleek.
much fuzz on her.
No, yeah. So because she's closer to 7 months of age, So she's a little more mature than the rest of the chicks. So she is a lot sleeker. She's lost a lot of her downiness. And so she definitely looks a little bit older than everybody.
Sorry. Candace is wondering, how do you tell them apart? Are they marked somehow?
That's a good question. So if you look down at their legs, let me show you. This is Chalaka here. She has a green band. All of our different birds have different colored bands, and that's how we can tell them apart. You can really easily, once you spend some time with them, you can tell them apart just by personality and attitude, and sometimes by the way that they look. But the bands help us most of all. Those are a really easy way to tell all of our birds apart.
Awesome. Felix is wondering, do their feathers fall out?
Yeah, so feathers, just like hair, fall out randomly. So they'll fall out sometimes once a year when they're molting so they can grow a new one in. And then other times, like if they run into a rock in the wild or if they land weird when they're flying and they may knock a couple feathers out, then new ones will grow back in. So very much like hair.
Awesome. I'm going to catch up some of our new viewers. So these are Chilean flamingos. They're not pink because Chilean flamingos aren't going to get that hot pink that our Caribbean flamingos are. Jake, do you want to touch on that again real quick?
Yeah, so these are chicks. So they're babies still. They're only about 6 months old. And that means that they haven't gotten their full pigmentation in yet. And that will take up to 2 years to get fully pink.
Amazing. Um, Ava, she's 6 years old. She's wondering what texture is their beak?
Hi, Ava. Let me see if I can show you one of their beaks up close. Poblano, do you want to help us out here? I don't know if you can actually see Ava, but his beak is pretty hard on the outside. And then up towards his face more, like up towards where his eyes are, it's actually pretty soft. And underneath, too, this little pouch is really soft, too. And that's where he's swallowing. And then if we can look real closely, Poblano, hold still for us. There's a good look real quick there at all of those tiny little serrations in the beak. And that's how these birds are able to filter out their food from the water. So they stick their beak down in the water like Habanero's doing right now. They mess with things down there, they stir some stuff up, and then they filter out the food.
Logan is wondering how long can their legs grow to be?
Um, That's a good question. So, interesting thing about the legs. What we're looking at here on habanero and really all of the flamingos is the joint that you see right here in the middle isn't actually their knee, that's their ankle. So their leg goes quite a bit further up, and their knee is somewhere up under all these feathers up here. So their legs are quite a bit longer than what we think. But certainly their legs take up a good portion of their 3 to 3.5 foot height.
Yeah, they're quite leggy.
Yeah.
Another question about legs, Jake.
Yeah.
Diana's wondering, why do they stand on one foot sometimes?
So flamingos will stand on one foot for a couple different reasons. One is to rest, like to relax. It's comfortable for them to be sitting with just one leg down. Another reason that they do that is to help maintain good body temperature. So flamingos live in a variety of really warm and cold habitats. They regularly encounter temperatures below 30 degrees and above 80 degrees in the wild. And so they're adapting to all of these different temperatures, and they'll use their legs to do that. So the legs are basically where the most blood vessels are exposed to the air, right? So there's less coverage of them. There's less insulation on the blood vessels in the legs. So they'll keep one tucked up within all of their feathers, and that helps them keep their body temperature more stable.
Awesome. Hugo is wondering, do they live in packs or groups? What is that called?
Yeah, flamingos are flock animals. So in the wild, they'll regularly live in flocks over 100 or even 1,000 birds. So they're what we call gregarious birds. They love to be
That's
around
a big
others.
group.
Yeah, so we have 8 Chilean flamingos here at the zoo, and that's plenty of birds for our little flock. They're quite happy with each other and hanging out with each other. And of course, they also have lots of human friends too, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
nice.
And Jake, is this piece of trivia correct that a flock of flamingos is called a flamboyance?
I believe you're correct.
Proud of myself.
Way to go. Look at them.
Let's see. We got a couple more questions coming in from our kids viewers.
Love it.
Eli wants to know, are they friendly to strangers?
Hi, Eli. Our flamingos are definitely friendly to people they don't know. They just don't like being touched by everybody. So, like, even me with Poblano here, he really likes me, but he doesn't even like when I touch him if he doesn't know that it's happening. He's like, "What's going on?" And then he's going to go pick a fight with the other boys. That's pretty typical. So the flamingos, definitely, if you come to the zoo and you see the birds out on a walk, definitely you can just hold still and get close and they'll come right up to you. They just don't like everybody poking at them, which we can all kind of relate to.
Absolutely, yeah. A couple questions, Jake, about their color. Do they get pink because of something they eat? What is that provides that pigment?
So they get pink from the different foods that they eat. All of those tiny plants and animals have different pigments, and the flamingos will use those pigments in their feathers to create that pink color. So that's part of the reason why it takes so long for them to get to that color.
Let's see. How long do these guys live?
In human care, Chilean flamingos can live well into their 40s and 50s. They live quite a long time.
Wow. Um, let's see. Lucy wants to know, when did they hatch?
Hi, Lucy. So all of these birds are different ages. He, right over here by my friend Robin, is our oldest chick. She's about 7 months old, and she actually came from the Memphis Zoo as an egg. And then all the rest of these chicks came as eggs from Zoo Atlanta, and they all hatched out a month and then some days after he did. So Poblano, I know his birthday, he was born or hatched on September 15th. And then some of our younger, our youngest one that we have out here is Jalapeno right here. He hatched out on the 21st of September of last year, and so did Chalaka all the way back there. There she is. Hey, Chalaka.
I saw a question earlier, Jake. Someone was wondering how or why we got eggs from other places.
Yeah, so we don't have a flock of Chilean flamingos here at the zoo. And so there was no way for us to create eggs here at the zoo. So we work with our partners all around the United States to help all of these different species grow and their populations to remain nice and healthy. So we got these eggs in as part of that.
Awesome. I scrolled back up and caught another question from one of
Okay.
our kids. River is wondering, and this is a great question, Jake, do they swim?
Great question. Yeah. So if you come to our Flamingo Lagoon at the zoo once we're open, hopefully soon, you can catch some of our Caribbean flamingos paddling around every once in a while. But typically, flamingos are going to stand in the shallows. That's why they have such gigantically long legs that are devoid of feathers. They don't have any feathers on their legs, which helps them wade through the water kind of unimpeded, nice and quickly to look for food. So yes, you can sometimes see them swimming, but as a general rule, flamingos like to wade instead of swim.
That's probably accurate for me as well.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Adelaide, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Thatcher would like to know why their knees bend backwards.
Awesome. Yeah. So what we think is their knee right here is not actually their knee. That's actually their ankle. So it bends the correct way for ankles, and their knee is actually up here under all these feathers. Great observation there.
That's one of my favorite flamingo fun facts.
Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Riker would like to know, how many eggs do they lay?
Flamingos typically lay one egg every season.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Hello.
are they like penguins and they stay with that egg, or what does that
Yeah,
look
so
like?
because Chilean flamingos are such social birds, they will actually hatch out a bunch of birds right at the same time. They all lay their eggs at a certain time of year and then they hatch out generally within the same 2 months, like our birds are here. Our oldest chick, was born or hatched, I believe, July 29th. And then our youngest
Yep,
chicks
that's
over
correct.
here hatched out on August 21st or September 21st. So it's about 2 months difference between all of those kids. And that's typical for wild flamingos as well. And so what the parents will do is generally they take care of their young, but what they'll often do during the day is cluster all the young together, and then a couple of parents will stand guard over them.
So, like you're doing right now.
Exactly. Robin and I are the parents here today, and we are supervising playtime.
You're doing a great job, Jake.
Thank you.
You too, Robin.
They're all preening Robin's pants, which is really cool to get to see.
Does do they often preen each other or do they preen themselves?
But a little of both. Sometimes our flamingos, like when they're around us, they don't like to be friendly with each other because they all just want to be friends with us. Robin's the coolest, so who wouldn't want to
It's
be
true.
friends with her? And so when we're not around or when they think we're not around, like if I hide and just like kind of sneak in and peek on them, I'll see them preening each other. But generally, when I see them out here when we're around, they don't like to preen each other.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Another question from our friend Felix. He wants to know what are their natural predators?
Great question. So Chilean flamingos typically don't have too many natural predators. They live in these really, really inhospitable or unfriendly places down in South America where a lot of other animals can't live or don't live. So, luckily, they don't have a ton of natural predators, but other species of flamingos certainly may be preyed upon by large species of birds of prey and storks, cats, dogs, really anything that might find them.
A really good question just came in from Paul, Jake. He's wondering, do they have teeth? Which I've never thought about.
Yeah, so birds don't have teeth, but what some birds have, Poblano is being a baby. He's not. Hi, baby. Do you want to show us your cute little beak? Let's get close again. So I showed a little bit earlier, so once we post this, you can back up a little bit, everybody, and check this out. But there's a good look. It kind of looks like a zipper there. All of those little serrations in a flamingo's beak help them filter their food out of the water. And so no, they don't have teeth, but they do have serrations that allow them to grab plankton and algae from the water.
That's awesome. Lorna is wondering, how many Chilean flamingos do we have?
We have 8 chicks currently. So I can give everybody their names again since we haven't done that in a little bit. So closest to me right now is Ahi, and Ahi is our oldest chick. And then to her right, or to our right, I guess, is Jalapeno. With the blue band here is Paprika. We're going to move to see Habanero, who just bit Ahi rudely. Not very nice, Habanero. This little one here is Chalaca. She's right there. Cayenne is back here in the back. Ghost is right in the center. He is the brightest orange. And then the best bird is Poblano. He's right here.
Awesome. A couple questions from our friends. Henry is wondering how much do the eggs weigh? And I believe I saw another question, from Leighton. And Leighton was wondering how big are the eggs?
So their eggs are, I would say, about twice the size of a chicken egg. Does that seem right to you, Robin? I'm having a hard time picturing. We could hold them in one hand, but it was definitely a little bit bigger than a chicken egg. As for the weight, oh gosh, that was a long time ago. That was last year. It was probably something like between 75 and 150 grams, because when they hatch out, they are not heavy at all.
Because they're mostly like fluff.
They're mostly fluff. You're exactly right.
Let's see. Hugo's wondering, will they have their own space in the zoo so that we can see them?
So I am really fortunate. Robin and I, who are here at the zoo today, we work with ambassador animals. So we work with all these wonderful animals that live behind the scenes and then come out on grounds for the zoo to zoo visitors to get to meet. And Robin actually heads up our outreach department. So she actually is one of the folks who bring animals like flamingos out to schools and community events all around Middle Tennessee. And so while they don't have a space that's on exhibit for people to see here at the zoo, the flamingos are out almost every single day when the zoo is open for guests to get to see them.
And to answer your question, barber shop girl, they will be staying at the zoo. That's a good question. Um, Another mind boggler that I saw in the comments earlier, Jake,
Yeah.
was from Paul, and he was wondering, why do their necks curve?
Yeah, so because flamingos are filter feeders, and Habanero is doing a good job of showing you how they can filter things. Typically, it's from water, but right now he's playing in the grass and finding all kinds of different things. So they need to have a really curvy neck so they can reach down into the water and filter all their different food items out. And so if their neck was kind of rigid like ours or had as few bones as ours, they would not be able to filter as many different things out. But fortunately, they have, I think it's 13 vertebrae in their neck that they can use to bend their necks in every kind of way and also be flexible enough to get down into the water to grab all of their different food items.
Ooh, good question from Leighton and Henry. They want to know, what is their favorite treat?
The flamingos are kind of fickle. They don't really love a ton of different kinds of food here at the zoo. So we typically offer them their pelleted diet, which is very similar to like what you would feed a dog or a cat, but it's made specifically for flamingos. And then they also get krill. And some of them kind of like the krill, some of them don't care. I would say most of them don't care. And then they all kind of just like eat their food. Our birds don't really care too much about food. They're very different from me. I very much care about my food.
I saw a question earlier too. Do they like enrichment? What does that look like for them?
Well, flamingos are interesting. Flamingos get scared very easily by just like any number of things. Me standing up quickly, a branch in their way on the path, just about anything. So when we're planning different enrichment for the flamingo, we have to be really, really careful and really slow with it. So the other morning, I gave them a little ball. And they all moved all the way over to the other side of their room and were like not into it at all. So I pulled that out and we'll try that again another day. But usually it takes about 3 or 4 days for the flamingos to get accustomed to something, and then they may show interest in it as a toy. So enrichment
That's
just
really
has to move
interesting.
really slowly. Yeah.
And I hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly. Charvy is wondering, how do they sleep?
So the flamingos sleep in a really cool way because they have so many bones in their necks and their necks are so flexible. They can actually bend their head all the way back and rest it on their back in between their two wings. And often you'll see them cover their actual head with their wings, so it's completely dark. Yeah, so they
I
sleep
really
in.
want to see you try to do that.
I can't do that, but the flamingos can.
It's just you did that filter feeding demonstration with your arm that one
I
time, and
know.
now I just feel like you could be a flamingo
They
actor.
expect everything. What do you think, Poblano?
Let's see. How Montez wants to know, how do you know which one is a boy or a girl?
So when the flamingos all hatched out of their eggs, they had blood in the eggshell, which is really typical. And so we were actually able to take samples of that blood and send that off for DNA testing. And that's how we were able to find out who's a male and who's a female. So Poblano's a boy, Chalaca's a girl, Habanero's a boy, Ghost is a boy, Ahi getting love from Robin over there is a girl, Jalapeno's a boy, Paprika's a girl, and Cayenne is a girl.
Awesome. Just to refresh our new viewers, so these guys are ambassador animals, so they aren't going to be joining our other flamingos because they're different species, but these guys are they'll be out on the pathways. You can meet them on a backstage pass tour. Lots of different ways to see these guys. Question from Lorna. Do they have any type of defense mechanism, like kicking or anything like that?
Flamingos are all flight and no fight, so they just dart away if anything bothers them. So they fly pretty quickly when they need to. They'll take off in a run and then take off into the sky if they're, confronted by a predator.
Do they ever play with each other?
So they're super social and they love to be around each other. You don't normally see them like playing games like you might see certain kinds of mammals or other birds doing, but they definitely like to be next to each other for sure, for sure.
Okay. Let's see. Ryder wants to know if they stay with one mate.
Hmm. Okay. Well, flamingos will sometimes stay with one mate, often, and then other times they don't. Selective monogamy. So sometimes they will, and sometimes they won't. But a lot of times in zoos, you'll see flamingos that will be a mated pair for life.
That's really interesting. I don't think I knew that. Let's see. Rose wants to know, do they live in a warm or cold climate?
So, despite what it looks like all the time when you see flamingos like on TV or in books or in movies and stuff, flamingos are actually incredibly hardy birds. So, they kind of always present as like tropical birds, but they can live in really extreme environments. On the continent of Africa, where lesser and greater flamingos live, it regularly will get far above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, where these birds hatch out, and these tiny little babies are out there on these burning hot days and they'll survive. In Chile and the other parts of South America where the Chilean flamingos live, it can get below freezing really easily up high in the mountains, and these birds will survive. They're extremely hardy and really good at adapting. So they live kind of in a variable habitat, just like we live here in Tennessee. It gets really gross and hot in the summer, and then we get a short, you know, winter that's very lovely and kind of pleasant. That's what they go through too.
Let's see. Jamie says flamingos are pink because of what they eat, right? Yes, but they're pink because of the. Ooh, I'm not gonna say this right. Carotenoids, is that right?
Carotenoids, yeah, good one, Kelsey. Yeah, so the carotenoids are the
Trying
pink,
here.
orange, and red pigments that they get from the tiny plants and animals that they eat. So the phytoplankton, the algae, the krill, all of those tiny little plants and animals have carotenoid pigments in them, and so they give the flamingos their pink color.
You guys are really testing my vocabulary today. I hope you all know that. Let's see. I think I'm caught up on questions. Does anyone have any last questions before we let Jake go?
Poblano is so cute.
Jake, is there anything else you want to share with us about the Chilean flamingos?
Um, I think the only thing that we didn't really talk about is how people can help Chilean flamingos in the wild.
Okay.
And really, the easiest thing we can all do. So, quick backstory: flamingos live down in South America. This particular species does, and where they live, they're impacted by mining. So, when people mine for different minerals and elements that we use to make things like batteries and cell phones, all of the kind of waste from the mining can get into the water supply, and that leaches all the way up to flamingos and all different species, and also the humans there too. It's not good for humans either. So the way we can all help with that is just like push your cell phone to last an extra 6 months or a year instead of getting the next new, iPhone 17 or 40 or whatever is out. Wait just a little longer until your phone really goes kaput, and that way you can make sure that you're not overusing these resources, and that way our flamingos remain nice and healthy.
Yep, absolutely. A couple questions about how much do they eat in a day?
So because they're eating teeny tiny plants and animals, they eat pretty much constantly throughout the day. They're always foraging for different kinds of food. So I don't have like a 1 cup of food per day. They eat a lot. They go through a
Yeah.
lot too. They poop once every 10 minutes. So they're always filling up and emptying.
Um, let's see. And let's end on a fun question, Jake. Bear, age 3, wants to know if they can jump. And I saw a couple other questions about their types of movements too. So can you chat about that real quick?
Yeah, so flamingos certainly can jump, but they'll use their wings to do it, and that's how they'll get up into the air. When they're taking off, when they're flying, they'll run for a while and get quick, and then they can flap their wings nicely and take off. But certainly, if they're afraid of something, like one of them pulled up a twig earlier, and that spooked another one who was right next to him, and so then he kind of jumped into the air using his wings. So they certainly will jump, and they'll kind of run and dart away, but they don't move aggressively. Like they're not like, let's go on a 10-mile jog today. They love to just kind of hang out in one place and look for food.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up, Jake. Lots of good
Alrighty.
questions today. I feel like this was a really fun live. If you guys have any additional questions about Chilean flamingos, drop them in our Instagram feed and we'll answer those sometime today. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Jake and Robin. We really appreciate
Bye.
you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a great
See
day.
ya.